can't get on. Oh, now it is on. Oh, Jesus. Well, isn't that lovely? Okay, so there's one. So that's me watching myself. Over here so I can see them. The sun is really weird today with the lighting. Hi, Denise. Hi, Brina. I started my Facebook this morning and it said it didn't have enough internet, and then all of a sudden it was filming. So sorry if you got a little nauseous in the beginning there. Hi, Julie and Carol. Hi, Jamie. Hope you're feeling well, Jamie. Wanda and Stacy. Hi, guys. How's everybody doing today? All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to just give you like a couple little tidbits of information, and then we'll start making these cards. So these are the cards we're going to make today. And I was going to save these for something else, but since this paper's kind of coming to an end soon, I figured I might as well share them now, how to make them. And I know this is like, it's like highlight on this. It's the way the sun's coming in, so sorry for that weird look. Hi, Terry. Thanks for joining us from Connecticut. So a couple things, which of course I didn't get my... Here it is, my celebration book. So, just in case you haven't heard this already, I'll tell you, the Tea Time framelits, and I think it must be a newer release. Yep, the second bundle release. The Country Floral embossing folder. Both of those are going to carry over into the new catalog. So, just FYI, you can get them for free now if you have a $50 purchase. But if you wait, they will be in the catalog, but you have to buy them. So, you can earn them for free. That's pretty cool. And then there are a few things that are kind of running out or already gone. So if you guys know the celebration coordination, they had those dies that were out. So the cupcakes and the frogs are now done. So I'll put a little X up here. Hi, from Southern California. Oh, it's a lot of people having trouble with Facebook. Okay, good to know it's not just me and my technologically challenged self. Oh, here it is. So this Country Floral folder, that will be carrying over, which I think will make a lot of people happy because I know everybody loves that. But there's also a few things that have way over forecasted their sales. So the doily framelits are no longer available because they could not get a supplier to fill them for them. So you can, I believe, get the doily stamp set, but the dies are no longer available. The bunny punch is completely oversold, so you can get the bunny stamp, but the punch is gone. And then there's a few dies that are going to be running out very soon. The Wonderful Floral die, the Rose Trellis die, and the Detailed Birthday die. Those are all really getting to the very close end of selling out. So if there's something that you want and you've been waiting for those, make sure you get them sooner than later because they won't be around very much longer. So apparently we have some really awesome stuff this year that it's selling out like hotcakes. But the cool part is you can get this still as a bundle for celebration. If you have a $100 purchase, you can get the Painted Season stamp set. And then the coordinating paper, which is what I'm going to use today for the cards. So you actually get 3 sheets of each. So it's 4 different designs, and you get 3 pieces of paper each, which is pretty good. And of course, this mushroom paper, which I think is everybody's favorite. Hi, Donna. Thanks for joining. And I have some stuff I'm going to share, but I'm going to do it as a separate video for a couple other things that are coming up. And that's about it. So we're going to get started. Now, what I did when I originally designed these cards, I thought a really neat thing to do would be able to make a card that has kind of the same parts, but a little bit different components, but with minimal supplies. So basically, for these 4 cards, they all have Crumb Cake as their backing paper. So Crumb Cake is their base card. And then these 2 cards have Poppy Parade. And these 2 cards have Call Me Clover. And then they all have the same white strips, and then they all use a piece of DSP. So I was trying to make this like you could do as minimally as you wanted with what stamp sets maybe some you already have, or you could use different ones, but also the fact that you could use these for 4 seasons, which I think was really, really, really cool. So I'm going to use the painted seasons for some of them, but I also have the Dragonfly Dreams, which is what I used for this one. And you could certainly swap out your sentiment. For 2 of these cards, the thanks and the thank you, this is from the Thankful Thoughts. Really simple. If you wanted to have a thank you card, you could even do a note of thanks. Lots of different stuff you could do for that. And then the 2 that I picked because I love this Christmas Pine stamp set. I think this is one of my absolute favorites. And again, this carried over from the year before last. So this may not make it into the next annual catalog. I mean, I can't say for sure because I don't know, but it's carried over twice now. So there's a good chance that they might replace it with something. But you also could do Making Spirits Bright for this one instead, which I think I'm going to switch to. So other thing that I had for these was the Stamparatus, because it made it really, really simple to be able to do the layers for the pine cones, and then even for the pine bow here. Same with this. I just did these multiple stamping, so it's like 1st, 2nd, and 3rd generation of ink without re-inking. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do. But I'm going to show you what layers I picked. I did pick something different today. I went with Sahara Sand as the base. So these will have a Sahara Sand base, and then I have 2 cards that will have early Espresso layers and 2 cards that will have Granny Green layers. So we'll just work with those. But I'm going to show you first how to cut the paper, because you can get a lot of cards out of these. So these are just 4 that I made. These are the 4 samples that I made. And I made these, I think it was almost like 2 weeks ago. And you don't like the simple stamping. You know what, Donna? I'm not a simple stamper either. It's a stretch for me to be a simple stamper. I am complicated and I make things. I mean, do you remember this one? These are clearly not simple because there's lots of layers to them. And you know how much I love embossing and die cutting and everything. So for me to simple stamp is like a feat in major self-control. So I hear you on that. So what we're going to do is I have 3 of these already cut, but then I figured I would show you how to cut the other one. That way you could see. So these are going to be 3 of our cards. And then for the last one, I have just a strip of paper that I cut off. So this was bigger, but I used it for this one as well. So what you have is you're going to start with a piece that measures 3 3/4 across. Let me get this oriented correctly. So this is 3 3/4, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut it at 3 1/2. Okay, so this one you can make another card out of if you wanted to. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut off a 1/2 inch off of the bottom. So I usually cut when I do my little strips, I cut on the right because it's easier for me being right-handed. So then this is it. So that you're going to use this other piece for your opposite piece, and that's it. So you can make a lot of cards. I mean, you could make a whole slew of cards and then put them in like a little gift box for somebody, which would be really easy to do. And then I cut my paper, and I have one extra one just in case. So we have our regular base, and then we're going to have a piece of a layering piece, which will be 4 by 5 1/4. And then these pieces here, so this is 3 3/4. It was by 3 1/2, but we cut a 1/2 inch off. So then we're just going to layer this on top. And then we have our Whisper White piece, which I believe, of course, I can't remember what this was. Oops. I think it's 2. Nope. 1 3/4, and then it should be by 3 3/4. So 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. So we're just going to stamp these, layer them all together. And I'll show you guys what you could do. So you could also, Donna, you could not simple stamp this. You could make this into like something really elaborate just by adding embossing to the, that's the cool part, is you can make it as complicated or as simple as you want. You could emboss some of these. You could emboss your thank you part. Really just depends. These I did in Call Me Clover. Believe this one was, oh my goodness, Lovely Lipstick. And then Call Me Clover. This one I think I did in Calypso Coral, Bermuda Bay. And then the Christmas one, believe it or not, I did these in as well. These are in Bermuda Bay. And then I used Crumb Cake, Soft Suede, and then I was trying to stick with like the same colors of the cards. This one was in Poppy Parade, and then 2 different colors of green. So really easy, and you can make them complicated. On a couple of them too, I also added some ribbon. So this is the same ribbon. This is that thread. What the heck is it called? Ooh, braided linen trim. So this is it, just I tied it in a knot and just hooked it around. For this one, what I did was I cut a piece and then I just kind of spread it open. And then down here, I just tied a little knot and put it on top. So again, you can add ribbon to it if you wanted to. It just really depends on what you want to make of your card. So I'm going to move these on the side and grab my Stamparatus in case we do any multi-layering, because it does make it a little bit simpler. But I am also going to keep out just my regular blocks because sometimes it's easier to add the little parts with that. So I have my 4 pieces of Whisper White here. I'm going to take this out. And I'm just going to set all 4 of these on here. Of course, I forgot my piece of paper. As my mask paper. So how's everybody doing? Everybody ready for spring? I'm ready for spring. We keep getting these crazy, freakish snowstorms and cold weather. And all of you Ohio people need to stop sending us your wind, because we have enough wind over here as it is. All right, so there's my 4 layers. And I'm going to just put all this stuff on the side for now, and hopefully none of it will magically disappear, as that happens to me sometimes. So I'm going to do the Painted Season one first. And what we'll do is, the only thing you kind of want to keep in mind is to look at your paper to see what it is that you want to do. So we will do, this time I'm going to do the dragonfly for this piece. So I'm going to stick with these 2 for the Painted Seasons bundle. And it doesn't really matter what. So I'm going to use one of these first. I'm going to use the Fern Leaf. And I'm going to do this just with the color combination. Hopefully it'll work out well. We'll have to see how that does. I'm going to go with mint just because it's a little bit darker. So we'll go with mint. I'm going to move 2 of these over. I'm going to do mint macaron for these fern leaves. And you can also change your sentiment. So you can put your sentiment onto the right side if you wanted to instead. And I'm just kind of, the cool part about these stamps, these are those distinctive stamps. So they have a lot of depth to them, really, with not really very much effort. I'm just going to put one more over here. Ooh, whoopsie. Okay. Spring weather in Georgia. I'm a little jealous of you there. I'm going to add 1 fern leaf on the one side of this one, and then I'm going to add some flowers instead. So that was mint. And all I'm saying is I'm hoping that my color choices that I picked for background paper and ink coordinate, because I didn't think that part out at all. So we will see. Yeah, you're sending it this way. I can see that. That's for sure. So I'm going to go with the, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Maybe this is like a dahlia. I don't even really know. I know what roses are. And what else? Lilies, tulips, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, not super expert in the flowers. I know I have a lot of weeds. Put this one over here. So I'm just kind of adding these without re-inking a couple different times. That's the cool part about a lot of these distinctive stamps tend to hold a good amount of ink. So if you ever have trouble with it, that it's not inking the way you think, it could be that your pad is just a little bit too wet as well. Sometimes that could be a little bit of a problem. And then for this one, I want to add something small. So I think I'm going to switch to the other flower for this. And then I'm going to go with Berry Burst. We'll give this one a shot. We've had a lot of rain. We've had a lot of rain too, Linda. But South Carolina in the rain still sounds better than Maryland in the rain. I'm going to stamp this off once first, just because I'm not quite sure how dark that is. There we go. These colors are really pretty together, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just not sure. I'm hoping these match what I picked for the background. So you could also kind of do a thing where instead of, if you picked like your layering, your back layering piece, and maybe you picked your front layering piece like this clearly isn't going to match that whatsoever. I don't know which one I'm going to put this with. Maybe you want to pick it from whatever your scheme of colors would be. Probably use that for this one. Maybe. We'll have to see. I don't know. This might end up being a bomb that whatever we thought it was going to look like, or I should say because I know you guys didn't pick these colors, might end up being a little crazy. So I'm going to do the dragonfly on one. But the other thing is, too, that's also why I have extra paper, just in case. All right, so I'm going to line this guy up just in case I have to re-stamp him. And I'm going to put him on the left this time instead of on the right. And I want to try to get a little bit more of him in. So I'm going to just pick him up with the Stamparatus. Let's see, so I have him lined up at the 5. And just make sure that's still accurate. All right, and instead... But we'll do him in, that's not really a good one. We'll do him in blue. Why not? All right, I'm going to turn this to the side because I just have a lot of stuff on my desk here. So normally you could do this flat if you wanted to. And kind of right now, I'm like Alice in Wonderland. In my world, the dragonflies are blue. You could also take your Stampin' Write markers and color this in instead. So you could color in... And I want to just show you what I mean, just like on a little piece of paper here. So if you had, where's a, well, it's got to be a scrap somewhere here I can use. So for example, just with this here, I'm just going to set this here. If you cleaned off your dragonfly and you took your marker, what you could do is you could do balmy blue. You could kind of ink up the wings in balmy blue, and then you could bring in like a little bit of Granny Apple Green for his body, and then kind of to the edge there a little bit, and stamp. So you could have like a multicolored. This would be really cool if you did it in like a rainbow. Obviously you'd want to make sure that you colored in all of your dragonfly, but I think you get my point. So you could make it different. The other thing you could do too is you could even emboss your dragonfly, and then you could kind of sponge all over with color. And that way you could have like the emboss resist. That would be another really good idea. And for the last one, I'm going to do, because I have my dragonfly for that, I haven't added sentiments to anything thus far. And then for the last one, I'm going to do something with the Christmassy step because I really, really like this stamp. So I'm going to do pine cones. But what I'm going to do first this time is I'm actually going to lay the pine bow down first. And this does have 2 layers. So you can use the more, you can see on there, whoops, the more full layer. And then there's like a kind of over layer, so you get 2 colors. So I'm going to put this, let's see, just like that. Oops, and I got ink on that. Hold on. Let me flip this over. Hopefully this doesn't have any ink on it anymore. All right, so I'm going to lay this on top like that. Pick him up. So I have him at the 4. The other thing is too, if you guys have any issue with figuring out exactly how to layer this, I'm going to do this one a lighter green. I'm going to go with soft seafoam for the bigger part. I kind of always, I like having the grid paper underneath because what it does is it gives you an idea of where you line something up with a number. So for me, that's easier to stamp that way. I know some people like to put it in the corner, but I kind of have to, I like to have to, it's because of the magnet there. I like to be able to line things up number-wise because for me it makes more sense. But you can stick it to the side, really whatever works for you. Once you play with it a little bit, if you've had that other Misty stamping tool, it is opposite of that. So it does take a little bit of getting used to. Which I had one of those as well. So I think that's why it took me a little bit to be able to learn how to do this correctly. So that was probably kind of in a way an advantage. Because I had to learn how to do it on 2 different things. Alright, so I'm going to put this down here at the bottom. And I'm going to pick up this one. This stamp set is only available during Celebration. That's it. So it's not, definitely not carrying over. I can tell you that for sure. Neither is the paper, even though it's so pretty. So definitely, if you want it, you should get it now. All right, so actually that turned out really cute. So that was Garden Green and Soft Sea Foam. This is really cute because it definitely gives you the dimension with that. Okay, so let me wipe this off, and now we'll add our little pine cones. And I'm going to add smaller ones than I did the first time, because my first ones were a little bit large. So we're going to use the smaller ones. So I'm going to go with this and then the tiny. I'm not going to use the big ones at all. And I'm going to use the sentiment from the other stamp set altogether. So once again, the cool part about this is you can take your Stamparatus and line this up. So we can put one here. And then I'll put on top of it, and then I'll do the other one. So I'm going to do this one in Crumb Cake. If it really bothers you, you can also bring out your other magnet. That way your paper won't move. So I'll do one in Crumb Cake. And then the darker I'll probably do in Soft Suede or Early Espresso. Yeah, that's nice. And then I'm going to move this one over because I want to do the second one as well. And so I'm going to pick this one up. Hopefully you guys don't hear my stomach growling. I haven't eaten today. Just had a lot of coffee. That's my breakfast typically. Extra coffee. Okay, so as you can see here, so I did not ink that up very well, and I also didn't press very well. But since you have this placed, all you have to do is go back, re-ink your pine cone base. Now this is going to be a little darker because I inked it twice, and just repress, and then you'll have a fully covered pine cone. So I'm going to start with this second one here. So what I'm doing is I'm just laying my second layer over top. And if you were going to do multiples of these, the cool part about this is you can pick up your Stamparatus base and flip it around just like that. So make sure I have this lined up. I can't really see 100% because I have the camera there and I'm trying not to bang into it if I can help it. I'm going to go with, since this one is so much darker since I stamped it twice, I'm going to do the Early Espresso. So I'm going to close this, pick up the stamp, open it, ink this up, press. I think I did not line it up as well as I thought I did. Yeah, that's not bad. And then I'm going to just move this one over again. I probably should have cleaned this off first, but if you know me, you know how I am. I'm not the best cleaner of the stamps. All right, so I'm going to pick this back up. We already have one nice one there, but I'm going to make it a little darker. This would be the case where my dad would say, do what I say, not what I do. Okay, and then you could stick with the espresso to put your greeting on if you wanted to. That kind of just is up to you. So I'm going to move this. And actually, you know what? I'm going to use the Stamparatus because in case I goof anything up with my sentiment, I can make it darker. And it kind of just makes for nicer placement. I'm just going to wipe this off, make sure I don't have any colors on here. I don't transfer from one side to the other. Go with that. And I'm going to just dry it off a little so everything sticks to it. Coffee is your breakfast too, Suzanne. That's right. I think that's kind of how my grandparents brought me up. Coffee is your breakfast. So since I have the Christmas one here, I'm just going to go ahead and do this sentiment. And let's see. I'm going to do Making Spirits Bright because it's pretty slim. So I'm going to put that down here at the bottom. And since, I was going to say, since that's dark, I might do this in, I might do it in black because I think it's going to show up a little bit better. This would also be a great spot, Donna, if you wanted to make something really stand out. We could emboss it. Could heat emboss it. All right. So I'm going to do this in black. So let me grab my memento. And I think one other thing to keep in mind, because I tend to do this as well, is when you are doing something and you really want the image to be dark, you want to make sure when you ink up your stamp that you're still really gentle with it, because you can always add more ink if you're going to use the Stamparatus. And it doesn't, that way it won't be goopy, if that makes sense. And I still think somehow this needs like a little bit of red. So I'm going to take this little star that's here with one of my tiny blocks. And I'm going to just do a couple Poppy Parade stars just to kind of like jazz it up a little bit. So we'll just put... Other thing you could do too is you could do your little snowflakes. That's good enough. You could do the snowflakes, which are still part of that other stamp set that I just love so much. And we could do these in a really, really light. We'll do them in Pool Party, just like an all over. So these are just like a little snowstorm. This was at the Christmas Pines stamp set. So I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to kind of put this here. And I'm not going to use the Stamparatus because I'm going to just stamp it twice. So I'll pick this up. We'll do Pool Party. And I'm going to do this super light because I just re-inked this Pool Party. Of course, I just did. Let's see. There you go. So you have like a little snowstorm too. So that could be a little overkill for some people, but you know, the other thing you could do too is you could add some of your shimmer paint if you wanted to. Shimmer paint with a sponge dauber. You can make it a little sparkly. So I'm going to call this one done. And then we just have to add some stuff to our other ones. And we'll finish those off and move this over. All right, so let me move these Christmas ones out of the way. And then we'll move on to the thank you. So I have that one. I have this dragonfly, which might need to add something else to that. Like a small flower would be nice too for the dragonfly. Or another thing you could do is had this. You could even take your Wink of Stella and add a little bit to the dragonfly. Give them a little bit of sparkle. For that, you could always go ahead and color this in if you wanted to with your Stampin' Blend or your Stampin' Write marker, the black one if you wanted to. Just kind of depends on what you were going for. You could do Enjoy Your Special Day. That's a nice one. We'll do that for this. Put this up at the top. And instead of doing it in black like I did before, we'll do it in something a little bit different. So let's see. Let me move these two off. Put this up here where I was. Go with that. I think that looks pretty good. All right, let me think first. What am I going to put this on? Because that's probably going to... So we have this one. Oh, you know what? Let me do this while we're at it. So we have the Christmas one. So that's going to be here. So I at least have that. So that's kind of similar-ish. Then we have the... Maybe I should put the dragonfly on here. I know the blue doesn't coordinate it with it whatsoever. It probably would look nicer if I did it on this. So maybe we'll actually put that onto this one because they'll go together. So instead, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to do the greeting in... I'm going to do it in Granny Apple Green. So I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to just really, really lightly tap my sentiment because we can always add more ink. But if it's goopy, we can't take it away. Just give that a press. Yep, my Enjoy didn't work. And I'm going to go back just one more time, just really, really lightly. Okay. Oh, that looks really cute. That was really simple, but it could use something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these little sparkly doodads here. So I'm going to add these in coral because that card looks like coral or pink of some sort to me. So I'm going to add those in coral. And I'm just going to kind of randomly stamp. And supposedly if you do things in like threes in a triangular shape, it's very appealing. I don't know. Usually I end up doing too much, so we'll see. Yeah. That's good enough. I'm gonna overdo it. So that'll be 1. So we have that. Now we just have to figure out how to save these other 2 that I think I picked a way wrong color scheme for, but live and learn, right? Okay, so now we still have 1 and 2, and I completely have any idea where I put those. There they are, papers. This one is really simple. I'm going to do this one in early espresso, and I'm just going to do this one as a thank you. So I have my early espresso. Put this up here again. I'm just kind of sticking with that number 4 as my starting point. We'll put this one in the middle. Let me close this before I have a disaster. Move this. And how about just a note of thanks? Because that's pretty simple. A note of thanks. Now, hopefully these are going to stick well, because this is the old clear mount stamps, so they don't have as much sticky as the new cling mount. So I'm going to be super happy when all of my stamps have the same stuff. But just in case you missed it, you can go back, and I don't have any handy right now. I'll knock a lot of stuff over if I grab it. But you can go back and you can retrofit your stamps using the leftover scraps from your new cling mount stamps. So don't throw that away once you've pulled the layers off. And I do have a video on that. Since this has a foam backing, I went ahead and took this part out of the Stamparatus. And then I'm going to just ink this with the early espresso. Again, I'm going to try to do it as gently as possible. Oh, see, it fell off. All right, here's what we're going to have to do for this one. I'm going to have to do this one with the stamp. That way I can give it enough pressure, because I don't feel like I'm going to pick it up and I don't want to drop it. So let's hope I ink this correctly the first time. Let me practice. Yeah. Okay, here goes. Oh, shoo. And then you could also, like a note of thanks, this will be on the front, so you can add something to the inside. So I'm going to leave this one as is. So that's number 3. This is the one that I have to figure out how to save, because I don't even know. Let's see. So we have left 1, 2, 3. That one. I think I'm going to stick the note of thanks with this. Oh, God, I don't know. These colors are just... I didn't pick these well. I'm going to stick these 2 together. And this last one, this just does not match whatsoever. I probably should have done the... Actually, I'm going to start over again, because it's going to be ugly otherwise. I probably should have done the Poppy Parade. That would have been a smarter idea. So I'm going to go back. I'm gonna redo. I'm going to still do the Fern in the soft sea foam, but I'm going to do that flower. Which was this flower? That was a big one. We're going to do the flower in a very, very light Poppy Parade. Because sometimes the colors that you pick, if it wasn't for the fact of the base color, it probably really wouldn't matter as much, but I'm just going to change it for the heck of it. And the soft sea foam is really, really light. So a lot of times when you do your second stamp, it's kind of going to be like it's barely going to show up. So just keep that in mind. All right, so I have my Poppy Parade. And I'm going to stamp this off before I do it, just so I get a lighter version. All right, that's good enough. Now let's add a sentiment, now that I fixed it, because that was just, I mean, this is better, even though that color, since we stamped off, doesn't exactly match that, but it's way better than that. Those 2 colors are really pretty together, though. So soft sea foam, and then this was Berry Burst, but not with that combination. All right, let's see what else we have here. I'll just put this one on because it's cute. You sure know how to make someone happy. We'll put this over here. We put my foam pad back in. All we have to do is add this sentiment, and then we can put the rest of these together. All right. And, oh, that's upside down. That would have been cute. I'm going to do this in Espresso again. Let me just put this back. All right, what did I do with it? Here it is. Simple stamping is great for new stampers. That's true. You know, that is a very good point. You can kind of do something simple and then step it up. That is absolutely right. Or if you have somebody that maybe doesn't even know how to get started. Let me just make sure this is lined up because, boy, if I mess this up now after the fact, that's really going to be a doozy. Went back and flipped it over and I goof up the sentiment, which would not be unlikely. Look, you could read this if you have really special drinking eyeglasses. So, I guess we're going to move back onto this side, and we're just going to have one of those cards that's just an ugly card. Oh, how do we know that was going to happen? Just fate. And now my H didn't stamp, and I have a feeling if I do it, it'll line it up again, because I put this on here crooked, and I wasn't paying attention. It did the same thing. Okay, I'm just going to throw in the towel with this one, because clearly I goofed it up. All right, let me move all these things out of the way, and then I'm going to show you how to attach this ugly thing we made to the card. You could give this to your favorite granny, because, you know, favorite grannies usually aren't ones to judge your stuff harshly. So you can say, look at this card I made. And she'll probably be like, oh, that's so beautiful. That's what my grandfather would have done for me anyway, if he was still here. He thought, you know, you have those lovely people you're related to that always think everything you do is wonderful. So we could always give them this card. That way someone will think it's lovely. Double stamping and everything else. All right, let me move these out of the way. I think we're all done with that. I have 8 million stamps here. Again, we're starting today with what to do and what not to do. If you've been here before, you know we do a lot of what not to do. Move these over. All right, so, oh my gosh, I have things so in the wrong places. It's not even funny. That one's fine. Okay. So now we get down to trying to make these look nice. I do have my backup piece of paper here I could have used, but this is only part of the fun of being live. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our panels. So we have all of our bases. I'm going to just give these a fold. I still cannot find one of my bone folders. I don't know where I left it. So many bone folders and I don't know what to do with them. So again, the bases are Sahara Sand, and then we have Early Espresso and Granny Apple Green as our layers. So we'll see which one looks best with what, and then we'll put them on. I think this one we might do with that. This one is going to be the one that's the completely beautiful card, we'll say. Might swap these, I'll have to see. All right, I think we were going to go with that one. Obviously, Christmas goes with Christmas. This one is just, I'm probably not going to adhere that. I'm not going to fib. I'm going to not adhere that all the way, and I'm going to have to fix it because if I send that to someone, they might think something's wrong with me. I'm losing my touch. And I'm just using the opposite piece, the little piece we trimmed down, to adhere it together. Now, this is the part where the other thing is too. You could add the ribbon if you want to add ribbon, like depending on what you have. If you have like, this is always a great one too. The burlap, because you can pull it apart, so you can add just little pieces of burlap. Another 100% favorite of mine is, which this is on back order right now, so I'm going to tell you I'm sorry, but the copper trim, that's always a great one to add if you want to add like a little bit of excitement in some way to your card. You could just do regular ribbon. You could do baker's twine. Another really nice one that we have right now too is this, what the heck is this stuff called again? The flax ribbon. That's really pretty because you can cut this down So I'm going to put mine on with no ribbon currently. But I'm going to show you all the cards once we're finished. And just make sure that you have them opposite, because I did put my glue on the wrong side of one, so it is super, 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 super sticky in a spot that it shouldn't be. So I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on all 3 pieces. Kind of helps if you lay them out. That way you know what you're going to do ahead of time. And you're maybe not trying to watch television or talk to a 5-year-old at the same time. Sometimes those are all helpful tips. So we're going to put this so it's kind of up at the top, so we have our nice little layer. And I'm not pressing anything down because I want to make sure that I don't give it too much room. Put this one so it mostly lines up. And then this will kind of just cover. Ooh, that worked out well. How do you like that? That's making up for that horrible card that I made. And then all you have to do with this is just put this onto your base. Just like so. Very simple. I'm going to give this another fold because I didn't press that hard enough. But that's really easy card. You could add some embellishments too if you wanted to. So this one we're going to pretend to put this together because I'm still going to have to pull with this. We're going to just put this faux together. Or we could put the blurry side and just be like, no, that's not blurry. That's definitely not blurry. Why do you think that's blurry? So this would be this card. So, ooh, isn't it pretty? Looks so nice together. And then this one is our Christmas one. And the other colors, what I did was I tried to pick a base that would be neutral, so it would be really simple to put the stuff together, and then pick like a complementary color for the other layer. But you could do white, silver would be really pretty. You could use some of the foil paper, would be really nice. So this is where I messed up because I was looking at the matchy. So you want to make sure you have the opposite there. And I think the cool part about this piece of paper is that coordinates with the little snowflakes that we have. So it looks really, really cute. And also the cool part about the DSP is it gives you some ideas if maybe you really don't know what colors coordinate together. You know, like this thing up here, if you're coming in late. That, I don't know what I was thinking. That just looks something. All right, and then the last one is going to be the poppies. I think they're poppies. Which always reminds me of The Wizard of Oz. Which also then reminds me of my mom. My mom loved The Wizard of Oz. That was, I think, one of her absolute favorite movies. And my youngest brother used to watch The Wizard of Oz. We had, you know, back when it was only on VHS. He would watch it over and over. Watch it. It would rewind, and it would just start playing again. Surprised he's not traumatized by The Wizard of Oz. He probably doesn't even remember that. I'm sure if I told him, he'd probably say I was making it up. That, and the other thing we used to do a lot, child of the 80s, we played a lot of Atari. I love Atari. I'm still trying to find myself an Atari 5200, because apparently that wasn't the really popular model. The 2600 was. But I still have all my Atari games, and I'm hoping one day I'll find it and I can play the games I've been waiting to play. Okay, so aside from this dud here, we're going to just shove that to the side. These are really cute. This is what one would look like if it actually coordinated with your card. We have another Christmas one. So you can make cards for all seasons with these. You could make a whole ton of cards, and then you could make a little box to put them in, which I probably, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that on Friday if I have some time. I'll make a box that we can put these in. We can come back and make a box to kind of put them together, and then you could give somebody a nice gift with cards all the way in them. The only other thing you want to remember is, for like a few of these, like we said, a note of thanks, which would be great because it's very simple. They could write their note in, but you could also go in and add an inside panel and put that together. Same for this, thanks. And then there's a lot of nice, of course this is holding all of my used stamps, but there's a lot of nice things on this set that you could put inside for someone if you were giving these. Like maybe you know someone who needs a lot of thank you cards. So you could even fill the inside. Because I know sometimes people have a hard time coming up with exactly what they should write on the inside. Some people are really good at doing it and some people struggle with that. So that's just something else you could do if you were going to give these to a friend. So I hope this was helpful for you guys today. And again, remember, there's a couple things on the list that I mentioned that if you're going to try to order them, you might want to order them sooner than later. And that was the wonderful floral dies, the, oh my gosh, I can't read. It's too far away. The rose trellis, and then the detailed birthday dies. Those are really getting to the point where they're kind of almost going to be not orderable. So if there's something you want, you should order it right away. During celebration, also, if you purchase $50, you get to pick something free. So you could pick the paper. If you do $100, you could do the paper and the stamps. They will not carry over. The only thing carrying over is the country floral embossing folder and the teacup framelits. So thank you all for joining. I will post all pictures of these to my blog later, and I'll put the links to everything that I used for the video. I appreciate all of you coming back every single week. Thank you so very much, and for the shares and the likes and the comments and everything else. And I will try to see you guys on Friday. Hopefully we can make that happen. So have an awesome week, guys. Thanks for watching.